Here's part C.
Okay.
Is square root of 2 a fraction? So let's say it's a over b with a and b integers. Okay?
Okay.
And now I'm going to make one other assumption that's a little hard to see why I would make this assumption at the beginning, but we're going to make this assumption with a and b having, well, a and b have no common factors. So I don't want a and b to be 6/4, for example. I would reduce a and b so that that would be 3/2.
Yeah.
So no common factors. I'm trying to make it in the simplest fraction it could be in.
Oh.
Okay. All right. So this is an important assumption. A and b have no common factors. So a over b, we're saying equals the square root of 2. What would this mean if I squared both sides? What do I get when I square this side?
Well, you get a squared over b squared is 2.
A squared over b squared. And when I square this side, I get 2. And then I can clear out the bottom of the fraction, so I get a squared is 2b squared. Do you see that? And when you're a mathematician and you have an equation like this, you are required to make a joke. 2b squared or what?
Not 2b squared.
Not 2b squared. You have to make that joke, okay? We promise you always make that joke?
Maybe.
Okay. So a squared is 2b squared. Or not 2b squared. Okay, so what does this mean? A is an integer. B is an integer. And a squared is 2b squared. Can I say anything about a? What kind of integer does a have to be?
Well,
What numbers?
it has to be even.
How come?
Well, because it's 2 of the same integer squared.
Interesting.
And-
So this side's divisible by 2 because it's 2 times b squared.
Yeah.
Or is it? This side, if they're equal, this side has to be divisible by 2 as well. Right? So this a has to be even. Okay? So a is even. That means it's 2 times some number m.
But that means b has to be even.
How come?
Because they have to be equal, but we thought
Well, they're equal only when you multiply by 2.
Yeah.
Okay? So you're on the right track though. A has to be twice some other number, m, because a is even. So a squared is 4m squared. Square this?
Yeah.
So I get 4m squared is 2b squared. Now I divide everything by 2. 2m squared is b squared. What does that mean about b?
b is even.
Same as before. B has to be even.
But wait, we thought they were in lowest terms.
Ha ha ha!
So you can divide by 2. They're not rational.
They're not in lowest terms. A had to be even, B had to be even, but we said no common factors. So if we ever find a fraction that has them, the top has to be even, the bottom has to be even, we can never reduce it all the way. So that means what?
It's not rational.
Doesn't exist. We cannot find an A over B in lowest terms that equals the square root of 2.
Wow.
And this caused the Greeks to think they'd lost their minds. How can you have a number that can't be written as a fraction? How is that possible? What kind of number cannot be written as a fraction? Do you know what kind of number cannot be written as a fraction? This is called a rational number.
Well, you could write it as a decimal, maybe.
You could write it as a decimal, yeah.
It's an irrational number.
It's an irrational number. So this is a new kind of number to the Greeks. It's an irrational number. Cannot be written as a fraction. And there are other irrational numbers that we'll learn about. Square root of 5 is irrational. Square root of 6 is irrational. Square root of 7 is irrational. Square root of 8 is irrational. Square root of 9 is rational. It's equal to 3. But there are even other numbers that aren't square roots. Pi is irrational, although that turned out to be hard to prove. E is irrational. Actually not so hard to prove that E is irrational. But I don't think even today anyone knows pi plus E, is this rational, irrational? I'm not sure. if anyone knows about this one, or pi over e. Pretty interesting. So there you go. So square root of 2 is not a fraction.
Wow.
That's an important fact in math, an important piece of math history too. So that was a good thing to talk about today, right?
Yeah.
All right. Good job. Good job this morning, huh?